3 faceplates of high-grade stainless. Making fuel from water is extremely easy, much more easy than they would like you to believe. This is just water, electricity, and some baking soda at about 29 amps. We found that we can inject this in the state of vacuum into our engine and double our mileage under certain circumstances. Now, I'm running a V8 350 and have been for over 30,000 miles. It all starts with the wiring. You get some number 10 gauge wire, 2 conductor, and run it to a switch which you put under your dash. I'm using a regular 120 volt light switch, which is rated at about 20 amps at 125 volts. I'm only running at about 13.8 volts DC. The switch is not worn out or burned up yet. It seems to work flawlessly. This is the ground wire that I connect to my frame. If my battery was over here, I would have put it to my battery just for convenience. Now I'm going to set the jug right here next to the master cylinder. I just happen to have room for a gallon jug. This is the vacuum line that goes to your carburetor. This is the master cylinder here that is your brakes, controls your braking. So we're going to take advantage of the vacuum pressure of the engine right here where it's strongest. Can get like 16 inches or more of vacuum at certain times. And we're going to set a pad here and install the jar right here. We're going to put about 3/4 full on the water, and I've already added some baking soda to it as an electrolyte. Now this is a very fancy cell element design. Don't be disillusioned by how fancy this looks, because very simply you can get 3 faceplates of high-grade stainless, some Teflon nuts and bolts, and for about $5 you can make this. You have notched it for the wires. Put the positive in the middle, put the negatives on the outside, and boom, you've got it. I've just made a more advanced version. You run the wires through the lid like this. I'm going to install this down here, and we're going to seal this up, and we're going to show you how this thing produces gas. This is the positive wire which I run to the alternator. I've installed a 30 amp auto reset fuse on both sides, positive and negative, so I have redundant fuse protection in case of current overload. And the fuel cell will occasionally pull too much power. We want it to automatically shut off. We connect to the alternator because we have a lot more magnetic field right there, much more energy available than connecting it to the battery. So I highly recommend that you connect it exactly as you see in this fashion. This is the dryer jug. It's just another jug that's sealed off that has a particular way of plumbing. One long hose which goes to the fuel cell, the other hose barely in the jug which goes to the vacuum system of the engine. You put it down in the jug, and the overflow is automatically sucked back up into the other fuel cell. We've used poster putty, which is liquid Teflon, as a sealant. It is the most recyclable thing you can use. You can use it over and over and over. It's poster putty. There's the brand name for it. Don't endorse any products, but I don't have any choice. It's really the best thing you can use. Plastic hoses is what we use on our vacuum pressure fuel cell. It is part of the thermodynamics of the entire process. Again, poster putty placed around the hoses on the vacuum pressure fuel cell in the state of vacuum will suck into the small crevices and will not allow leakage. It has been working flawlessly for many years on my vehicle. I have over 30,000 miles running on the vacuum pressure fuel cell so far, and my engine performs incredibly well. It's a little tacky at times. When it gets hot, it will really seal well. This shows you some of the production in the vacuum state. That's a lot of hydrogen oxygen gas. It's enough to actually cool the water. There's 25 amps right now flowing through there, and we want to run it as close to 30 amps as possible. You can see a tremendous amount of gas. It will actually produce even more hydrogen and oxygen gas as the engine gets going, the RPMs are high, and the magnetic field is coming off of that alternator.
Once it's on and running, it works a lot better.
Arm & Hammer, highly recommend it. It's the only one that won't foam
Drano.
up. Cheap stuff, you'll end up with foaming in the water.
Yeah, Drano foams up.
Foamy water. It's going to have some nasty buildup eventually, but
on mine we had Drano, and the Drano was all coated on the outer rims of the housing of the thing that made the hydrogen, the steel cylinders. There was a bunch of like white coating shit. That's what he's talking about. So I don't know if what he's used, Armor or whatever the fuck he used. I don't know if that works better.
worry, it's not a problem in the vacuum pressure fuel cell. The extra dryer jar in front takes care of anything that would fly into the engine. It's a very interesting system and has been used for many, many miles. A lot of people sell this for hundreds of dollars. You can build it yourself for about $55 in parts. Most of that is fuses and wires. And it is important that your alternator is able to handle the current. It will pull about 29 amps. So you have to make sure that your alternator's in good condition. When you get this thing hooked up right, you should see water coming out of your exhaust. As it gets going, the amount of water coming out could be tremendous. Depending on your engine, if you have any carbon buildup or nasty stuff in your engine, it will generally blow out right onto the ground in front of your eyes, steam cleaning the engine. This is definitely a technology that has potential. We hope that you take advantage of it. Thanks for watching.
As a professional mechanic, your tools are essential for your living. Icon Tools complete every repair without giving an inch, with broad selection and industry-leading.
So we all know that I'm extremely pro-hydrogen. I believe that hydrogen is the fuel that will power our future, from our cars to even our power systems. But there are some problems with the fuel, namely a lack of infrastructure, storage and production costs. Now, in the last year, huge leaps have been made in all of these fields, making the technology more and more viable. But this company from Belgium just created the technology that I feel proves the viability of this technology. Firstly, how would you feel if you could fuel your car for free? If you could produce hydrogen that can be used to power your house? And all of this for free. You see, Toyota is already busy building systems that burn hydrogen to power our houses. The only thing we need is the hydrogen, and with this technology, we wouldn't need to buy it. KU Leuven researchers in Belgium have created a hydrogen solar panel that directly converts water vapor from the air into hydrogen gas. Now, if their claims are true, this solar panel produces 250 liters of hydrogen daily. They are developing it under the Solheid project. From research to spin-off. So how do they? Well, actually it's quite simple, and I have seen some smaller concepts that use these solar panels use the energy that it gets from sunlight to power, which in turn splits the water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen then gets sent through some gas tubes. Now the water molecules are extracted directly from the air using a membrane. This part of the system I do see some problems with. Some areas are super dry and have very low humidity. But like I think in most parts of the world this would work just fine. But even if you had to fill it manually, it's still free power. Sort of, you still have to pay for the panel though. Anyways, here's the cool thing. This technology can be plugged into your existing solar panels. Jan Ronge told PV Magazine, Solheid hydrogen panels are compatible with most commercial modern PV modules, which are directly plugged into our system. This way we can benefit from the ongoing developments and cost reductions in the PV industry. By the way, the PV industry is just like solar panels. Yeah, just for those that didn't know. Anyways, now as of now, these systems are designed to create power for your house, so to run the
This video explores a new hydrogen technology that will deliver over 4 times the power density of the fuel cells currently in cars. And I've been granted special access to go and see them in person.
Hi, I'm Valdir Sukov, founder and CEO of ZeroAvia. We're here in our location in Sandwich, Kent, where we have high temperature fuel cell technology development.
Zero emission aviation is often seen as the final frontier of clean transportation. And now, ZeroAvia's new hydrogen fuel cells could unlock flights some people thought would be impossible.
At ZeroAvia, we're working on the next generation of power plants or engine replacements for commercial aviation. So we're targeting a larger aircraft going longer distances. For that type of aircraft, which is the vast majority of the emissions from aviation, what's important is high energy density and high specific energy, amount of energy that you can put on the aircraft and the amount of power that you can generate per unit of mass and volume. And that's where we believe hydrogen is the only answer, and hydrogen electric specifically, or hydrogen fuel cell based power plants are the right answer.
Yeah.
Really are the best, and since they're acrylic paint pens instead of regular gel pens, they actually go over everything. So I love that you can use them like to put all the different details into all of your different coloring books on top of the pictures that you already colored. Some of these little details that you can do with these acrylic paint pens add such a huge difference to your colored pictures. They roll on super smooth. I guess you can use acrylic markers, but there's just something about the paint pens that are just so much better.
The right answer.
Time magazine has named ZeroAvia the #1 green tech company of 2024. Part of this title comes from their breakthrough development of turbocharging high temperature hydrogen fuel cells. So how do high temperature fuel cells work, and why are they so much more power dense? In January 2023, ZeroAvia flew the world's biggest hydrogen electric aircraft using a more standard low temperature fuel cell in its powertrain. Regional airlines are placing orders for their hydrogen electric engines, but for ZeroAvia, these are just steps towards powering bigger planes that emit only water vapor and heat. To understand ZeroAvia's high temperature fuel cell, it's probably useful to look at the technology they're building on and disrupting. The most popular fuel cells use a proton exchange membrane, or PEM, to induce the chemical reaction that generates electricity. PEM fuel cells were developed by General Electric researchers in the 1960s and used for NASA's Gemini space program. There are three critical
All right, tonight I'm going to show you how to make an HHO fuel the cheapest, fastest, easiest way. Ready, got it all wired up. I did this. The glue needed some time to dry. I'm just going to show you this here contraption I made. The hose I selected, I got this at a hardware store. I selected this hose for one reason, because it fits in my air intake. So that's the hose I got. It was like $1.20 a foot at a hardware store. The wire I had left over from a previous project, I think this is 14 gauge, and the switches I'll be using, this one is a 20 amp, this one's a 15 amp. I think I'm using a 20 amp. I think that's what I got in the car. But these act as a fuse. See, this one popped. This one don't click no more. They don't last forever. I get a long time out of them, or something shorts out and the switch goes before your wiring goes. So these are what I use. I don't even use a fuse. I just use these switches. They light up. They let you know if you forgot it on or not. And I have everything all wired. I have my switch in. Let's see down here. It switches on. You can clearly see that it's on, so you don't forget it on. Because I do not recommend hooking it up through your ignition, because you don't want to short out your ignition. You'd rather burn up some wires or short out a switch
Rather short nothing
than
out.
fry your ignition. And this is what you're going to need to do. You're going to need your lid to be waterproof. I got this container at Walmart. There's
Now,
the
this guy
barcode
really
if you wanna
went
look it
cheap
up.
with it.
786-348-520-577. This is at Walmart. This is
This
pretty
guy
cheap.
went cheap. This guy went Dollar General cheap.
And the lid, see, it pulls the bottom up to seal it. So I had to drill this hole a little bit bigger than the hose, and this hole a little bit bigger than the wires, so they can kind of slide. And I have them sealed on the bottom because it seals. You want it in an airtight, watertight container. And I
Otherwise,
stripped
you won't
off
capture the gas.
about 1.5 feet of copper wire. And I just used RC car connector here. And I also have one underneath my hood. Just to make connecting, disconnecting, removing it easy. And plus, with this Dean's connector, the terminals are inside, so I don't got to worry about it shorting out on anything. Pretty simple to do, just a switch. And I'm going to mount it here. I got zip ties temporarily. I think I'm going to figure out a better way to do it, but you want to mount it away from heat. Do not mount it here because that gets hot. You mount it away from heat. And there's a nice little container that allows me to change water. This is what you're gonna need. This is, I've seen a lot of, oh, and that glue I used, if you're wondering. It's this Gorilla Clear Grip.
Now playing
Experiment 626.
Celebrate Stitch.
I did not teach him that.
And see the global phenomenon again.
Just follow the path of destruction.
Lilo and Stitch, rated PG.
Clear Grip. That's the glue I used. You're gonna need distilled water. That was cheap right at Walmart. And Walmart also had this, pure baking soda. Don't use regular baking soda, get pure baking soda. It'll last longer. Now some people say that these are acidic. They're not acidic. What they are is it's corrosive because of the salt, because of sodium bicarbonate. So what this device is gonna do, get my pot scrubbers out. What this device is going to do is it's going to break down the water's H2O. It's going to break the water down into separate molecules. The positive being the cathode, the negative being the anode. And the cathode is going to make hydrogen, and the anode is going to make oxygen. And it's a very flammable gas, HHO. And when it burns in your combustion chamber, it turns back into water. And you do save on gas. Because it gives you a noticeable horsepower boost. And you end up pushing the gas pedal a lot less. Well, I've made these in the past, and they work out amazing. These are extremely cheap pot scrubbers right at Walmart.
This guy went too cheap with this.
And unfortunately, these are magnetic. The ones I've gotten in the past were non-magnetic. You just stretch them out. I'll stretch out 3 of them. Try to kind of intertangle them a little. And this is going to be the one that goes inside of the sock. Yeah, you guys are going to want to use a new clean sock. This one's kind of fluffy. It's my lonely sock. I had a pair, but make sure there's no holes in it. You can use an older sock. This has been kicking around in the garage out here. You can use an older sock. I recommend using a new one or one that's nice and fluffy, because this is going to be your insulator. This is going to keep positive from touching negative. And what I do is kind of intertangle the negative in here. So that's how it got dirty. Let me kind of weave it through here a little. You just want it to get good contact. I'm gonna bend this around so I can't pull back out. Mixing. And as this bubbles, it'll mix. Look at it a little more. As it bubbles, it'll mix itself up. That's going to be enough. There's no real science to it. Just distilled water, baking soda, pot scrubbers, and a sock. Doesn't get any simpler than this. And that's about good. Just gonna get it squished on here a little more. Tastes a little salty. Oh, there, got enough. Now yeah, that's gonna be good. So now,
what the fuck is this guy doing?
I'm gonna hook it up here for right now.
Live life never bugged with Stem's multi-insect spray. Safe to use around people and pets. And is made with botanical extracts. Live life never bugged with Stem.
And I'm gonna go switch it on. Now, of course, when the cutter's running, and she's on, nothing blew up. Of course, when the car's running, you see, look, it starts making it almost instantly. See it bubbling? It's bubbling pretty good. This looks like my best one yet. The wire's getting a little warm. Oh yeah, she's working good. We're good. So now I'm going to mix up some soapy water. This'll do. I just want to capture some of those HHO bubbles that are coming out of that. Oh, she's making it good. That's working good. Yeah, who's got a fork in their garage? The soap's just going to make it so I can capture the bubbles. Good production on this one. Yours isn't getting too hot. Oh, look at that bubbling. Now you do not want to ignite the gas coming out of this hose, because it will. Too much liquid in there. Dump some of that out. you're probably going to run into the same issue. I'm just going to dump that right here. Put it on the old shop floor. Well, that's making really good production. I gotta figure out what I did. I can't light that on fire. Maybe there's too much salt in the water. That's what I'm thinking. Can't light that on fire. I cannot believe how good that's working. Let me get something to light that on fire with. Wow, that was loud.
Gavin Knox here from Hydrogen Fuel Systems Advisory Limited in Perth, Western Australia. Generation 10 system we can see here, it's currently running at 25 amps and producing an enormous amount of gas. You can see the gas is actually 26.1 amps to be exact. You can see there. Very efficient system. This is newly produced today, new efficient power supply, the extra efficient power supply. The Generation 10 system designed for any vehicle up to 4 litre capacity. You see inside the box there. You can't really see very clearly because it's the lighting not the best. I'll close that up right now. System fits inside a battery box which measures 41 centimetres by 21 centimetres by 33 centimetres high. Ideal for engine up to 4 litre capacity. Our webpage is https://hydrogenfuelsystems.com.au. Hope to speak to you soon. Goodbye. Gavin Knox here from Hydrogen Fuel Systems.
This one I like. That's all hydrogen.
In the quest for sustainable energy solutions, car enthusiasts are embracing hydrogen-powered modifications as a futuristic alternative to traditional fuel. These modifications involve retrofitting vehicles with hydrogen fuel cells, revolutionizing efficiency and reducing emissions to nearly zero. Unlike electric cars, hydrogen-powered cars offer the advantage of faster refueling times and extended driving. Innovators are pushing boundaries by integrating cutting-edge technologies such as carbon fiber storage tanks and advanced energy management systems, merging performance with eco-consciousness. As hydrogen infrastructure expands globally, enthusiasts and manufacturers alike are pioneering a new era of sustainable automotive excellence. In the quest for sustainable energy solutions, car enthusiasts are embracing hydrogen-powered modifications as a futuristic alternative to traditional fuel. These modifications involve retrofitting vehicles with hydrogen fuel cells, revolutionizing efficiency and reducing emissions to nearly zero. Unlike electric cars, hydrogen-powered cars offer the advantage of faster refueling times and extended driving ranges. Innovators are pushing boundaries by integrating cutting-edge technology.
Happen to have room for a gallon jug. This is the vacuum line that goes to your carburetor.